So, can they thrive in chaos? In fact, if they can excel in chaos, can they get creative and curious about finding their own problems and solutions? Doesn't make a difference you're working in technology X versus Y versus Z. And the reason I say that is, even in the field of AI, what you're working today might not be the same what you'll work in 6 months from now. Hey, Gaurav.
Hey, hi, Himanshu sir. Thank you so much for joining.
No problem at all. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and thank you so much. Really good to see you. I have been wanting to do this for a very long time. Even when you were in Infosys, I think even Ashok sir must have spoken about it. I don't know, uh, but really glad that gave us the opportunity to actually have this conversation. So
No
before
problem
we
at all, Gaurav.
yeah. So before we start, I'll just tell you a little incident. So when I joined Infosys 5 years back, so Rohit was our leader. Like he was the one we were reporting to, and he would always give your example how you started at an Infosys and the level that you reached. Because people used to ask, how our future would look like. So he used to say you can become someone like Himanshu Arora. So from that time, we remember you, and we had started a similar initiative in Infosys also. It's called as conversation with consultants. So where we get all the consultants, ask them about their professional journey, and then the questions, and people can learn from it. So that's the idea. With Speak with GRV, this I do in my personal capacity. The idea is whoever is doing impactful work, somebody like leader like you, if through that conversation we can inspire someone to take their learnings, apply it in their life, and make something impactful, it would be really great. So with this, I would like to welcome you to this episode of Speak with GRV. Thank you so much. And for the tech industry, they already know you. You have been in the industry for more than 2 decades. Now you have your own Rhino.AI. So we'll talk about that also. But first, I would request you to, for somebody who's listening to you for the first time, that if you could introduce yourself, your work a little bit, sir.
Um, Again, before we start about uh, myself, thank you for inviting me over. I think you have done some amazing work
Thank you.
in your personal time in getting this platform set up and started. And I have followed some of your other speakers who have come on this podcast. I think they have also shared some amazing golden nuggets with your audience. So thank you, Gaurav. I just want everybody else to know as well. It's not easy to take time out from your professional stuff, do something personally around which you're very passionate about. So kudos to you, Gaurav,
Thank you.
and keep doing it.
So thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. Um, about myself, I think I'm a very simple person who has always been curious about technology, about finding and solving problems. And that's where I am today. My journey has taken me across multiple continents, across the globe, in various capacities. From the days I was welding cars back in India in a shop floor, to where I am now running a company here in US around a startup. And in that entire journey, I think my biggest learning has been the people who have worked with me and have pushed me to my limits to what I do for a living. So, in a nutshell, very simple person and here to learn and grow with Gaurav and everybody else around you.
So thank you so much. So no, now you have reached a level. No, now when you look back, they say you can always connect the dots looking back. But when you were starting your career, what was your mindset? So you were also somebody like who would go to the leaders and ask them, "What can I do to grow in my career?" How was your approach when you were starting in the tech industry?
I would say, Gaurav, I've been lucky in my career. I've always found the right set of mentors, leaders who have advised me to not to worry about what I am doing, but do it. And once I do it, learn from it,
Okay.
templatize it,
Right.
and make it repeatable. I think that's the lesson that I have learned from all of my mentors. I want to actually give kudos to one of my earliest managers in Infosys, Rakesh Mishra,
Okay.
our consulting head at that point of time. And that's the best lesson that anybody could have given me. I still remember a conversation with Rakesh where I was so damn happy. I had done an amazing project, a consulting project in an insurance industry at on site in front of a client. And as told Rakesh about it, his first was, "So, what are you going to do so that the next consultant can do it?"
Okay.
And I'm like, "Oh, I had never thought about it that way."
Right.
So, I think the best career advice for anybody working with your leaders, mentors, and managers is what is it that they can do differently such that somebody coming next can do it better?
Right. So since you talked about the word mentorship and its value, one problem that a lot of people who are starting in their career or in the mid of their career that face was, let's say today you are working on a technology. Let's say an example is Pega. Tomorrow you are asked to work on APN, and now a lot of AI tools have come in, and there is a lot of resistance among people to switch from one technology to other, because they have spent their time almost a decade in one technology. How do you see this? How should one approach it? Because if you don't adapt with the time, you would obviously lag behind also.
Agreed, Gaurav. Um, I would always recommend any consultant or any professional entering this field now is to stay curious and learn as much as you can. Doesn't make a difference you're working in technology X versus Y versus Z. And the reason I say that is even in the field of AI, what you're working today might not be the same what you'll work in 6 months from now.
Right.
If you do not develop your learnability skills, curious conversations, the ability to go ahead and execute what you learned yourself, and then generalize what you learned, if those principles could be applied to the next technology,
Right.
you would always be having trouble across the world. Doesn't make a difference where you are, what you do, and so on and so forth. I still remember a conversation where we had got our first batch of consultants to learn Pega.
Right.
Um, and we had got MBA grads to do that. MBA grads were like, "I'm here to do management consulting, functional consulting. Like, why are you asking me to write activities in Pega in those days?"
Right.
Um, and the answer was always that do it once, do it enough so that you know how to do it and get it done. If you don't do it, you will never have the confidence to generalize what does it take to do this in Pega versus Commanda versus Appian versus LangChain versus LangGraph. Doesn't make a difference the tech stack that you pick up with. Do it once, be curious, learn from it, practice it at least once or twice so that you can be as intelligent as the AI that supports you in that entire conversation.
Right, right, sir. So now, if since we're talking about AI, so there is a saying that now intelligence is in the air. You have a tool which is very intelligent. You talk about Claude, Fable model, Chat GPT. So something which would take, or which was somebody's expertise, let's say researching, or let's say creating content, now can just happen in seconds. So now the question is, what would be the new set of skills? So there was a post by McKinsey that even McKinsey consultants are now using Claude models. So there is this is an augmented approach. You have a human plus a model. How do you see, what is the next skill set that one has to build?
Yeah, I would say the next set of skills that everybody should build is probably two or three.
Okay.
And everybody would tell you that it is about learning this AI tool or technology or agentic framework or this or that. I say it differently. I think the most important skill that you need to learn is problem finding and solving. You could solve any problem with AI if you can find the right problem to solve.
Right, exactly.
It's a mindset, it's the ability to take the noise out to find the right problems, but that's, I think, the most important skill. I
Right,
think the second most important skill related to that is your ability to, or storytelling.
right,
If everybody can build the same thing with AI,
exactly.
how is yours better?
Right,
Right? So your ability to tell that story about what problem have you solved to deliver what value with what solution, and how is it helpful, um, in the right story that sticks with whoever is buying it or funding it, and so on and so forth. I think those are the two most important skills as of day to day.
right, exactly. And recently, I had also written a post about this, that these are the skill sets which will, become more important, being a storyteller also. While being at Infosys, you have, worked around 20 decades. You have created a lot of practice. You created a 3,000 plus pega practice. How was that experience, like starting something from scratch and then scaling it as a leader?
It was a fun ride, Gaurav. Um, and the good part about it is I've been able to repeat that um, at Infosys or other places multiple times now. But it was always a fun ride. The ability for a leader to create a vision and a north star, generate a structure, work with the teams to motivate them, um, and give them all the toolings with which they can grow by themselves. I think it's almost like raising your own baby at that point of time. So 3,000 could be 30,000, 300,000 with AI, maybe 30,000 agents. Who knows? Um, but I think the journey is blissful, and I am very grateful for all the people who have worked with me um, to help make those things happen. It looks sexy in the front end. There's a lot of work that goes in the back end, though. Um, and if somebody was trying to set up a new service offering, a new platform, a new idea, I would say be ready to change, um, be persistent,
Right,
um, and ensure that your team can do the job without you all the time.
right,
If you can do those three things, you'd have the time to think through what else should be done to increase this entire practice size, offering size, and so on and so forth. And last but not the least, please ensure you have the people who are more smarter than you around you all the time.
right, exactly. I think that is one point that a lot of leaders also highlight, having to work. If you are the most smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room, they say. Okay. So, talking about AI only, something that organizations like Infosys, TCS, Cognizant have built for years. And then we see just a tectonic shift. Um, Claude launches a model, and in the market, they are saying there's a sasocalypse that has come. And when you are at the helm, at the leadership of these organizations, how do you react to this? Like, how, as a leader, what is the conversation that goes on to make sure you're ready to fight this change?
Um, it's an interesting question, Garu, and the reason I say that is I had asked that question to myself a couple of years back before leaving the company that I was with and starting what we're doing now. I think the biggest question in front of me I had was, with AI, am I going to automate my own job, or am I going to allow somebody else to do it to me?
Okay.
If we don't have that fear in our heads, and if we don't do anything about that entire conversation, I don't think we can change. So for a leader, it's not just the top down movement of having your organization change, it's also your ability to have that bottom up movement. It's not enough just to teach basic AI skills to people, get them certified, and so on and so forth. It's also to teach them the same fundamentals of problem finding and solving, ability to tell that stories and find and deliver value to what it means to a customer. I still see a lot of consultants in different organizations becoming the best architect that they could be on AI, but not delivering value because they can't relate to the problem statement. So, for a leader, I would say three things. One, if you can't automate your own job, you can't tell your teams how to get curious and figure that out. So, learn AI as much as your hands on architect on the ground and do it and show it. Second, teach them soft skills around problem finding and solving. And third, make them customer obsessed. Customers are not going to come in and tell you which problems to solve. Can you find those problems? Can your teams find those problems? Can you do the prototyping at speed to show them that those can be solved to your customers? Can you put in enough guardrails along with the customers and templatize those guardrails so that you can run it the right way? And in the night, when you go back to sleep, can you tell one thing a day as to what became better because you started using AI?
you know a lesson there. So since you talked about automating things, automating your own job, and after nearly 2 decades you started Rhino.AI. So my first question is, was this thought of, there are some people who just enjoy creating things, so they will create one startup, take an exit, create another one, they just like building things. So do you also have that mindset that, okay, now I have built for organizations for years, now let us just build something for myself which I have complete control over? Like, what's the journey of Rhino.ai? What's the thought process with which it was born?
Um, One thing I want to clarify, Gaurav, as I said in the past, I was lucky enough to find people around me and go with the flow. So um, my AI founders and co-founders on those lines, Adam and team, I've been lucky to work with them, find them, and have a common set of wavelengths around which we can build things. However, we're not building things for the sake of building things. In fact, we build more things and throw away than we actually use with our customers. And the idea is simple as to building things that are solving specific customer problems for which they'll pay us for. Otherwise, what's the point in building all of these conversations?
Exactly.
We're also realizing that we are actually building a new Rhino every 6 months.
Okay. So it's
We
like,
are pivoting, we're pivoting hard. We're pivoting technology, architecture, how we build our products, what we build in our products, what's our offering, and so on and so forth. In today's world, I think that pivot, the speed of that pivot, and the ability to stay focused on the job to be done for what the customers are hiring us for is more important than the technology that powers it underneath at any point of time. Because the technology, I can guarantee you, will keep on changing every 6 to 9 months, maybe every 3 months sometimes in some cases. Um, so that's, I think, where we're going with this entire conversation to say, can we be ready enough to keep pivoting and running faster than the next best startup or the next best $1 billion company in this space? Can we create a category where we can be proud to say when AI was happening, we were not being told by others and using what they're creating, we were creating something of our own which others would use. Last but not the least, in that entire process, did we really help our customers out to achieve business value, however way they define business value.
Right. One thing that you mentioned earlier was customer obsession, right? And this is something which is, you can say, the core which a lot of organizations focus on. For example, there is a saying that when Amazon has a meeting, they always leave a chair empty because it's for the customer who could not attend. So when you say customer obsession, what are some core principles or set of values that you say that customer first and the rest of the things comes later, so we build around the customer? What is your philosophy on the customer obsession?
Yeah, by the way, that's exactly why we love working with Amazon as well, as one of our biggest partners in this space. The ability for everything to be built around customers and obsessed is the core principle. When we work with customers, I think we focus on three elements from their perspective and a few from internal perspective. The first element that we focus on from a customer perspective is what's the job to be done that they're hiring us for? And the job to be done is not a technology representation of what they're asking us to do. They could be saying, in their words, I want to modernize this mainframe,
Right.
but that's not the real job to be done underneath.
Right.
So, our ability to work with the customer to peel the layers of the onion and get to the job to be done. It could be for a payments customer. I need to modernize this mainframe such that I can go ahead and process these payments much more faster for a payments company.
Right.
It could be so that I can reduce the turnaround time for my customer onboarding the way I'm doing it today. But what's the real job to be done? That's the first aspect of customer obsession. And when you are in knowledge and know-how of the real problem that they're trying to solve across different levels. You might have a different answer from a CFO versus CIO versus the IT director,
Right.
but you need to have that view. That's the first part. If you can't have that view, you're doing a technology project, which probably will be successful. Doesn't mean the customer is going to get the value.
Right.
The second aspect of customer obsession is so what? The customer hired you to do a job to be done. Your technology, your platform, your software, your AI can do it. So what?
Right.
Does it mean it'll get adopted? So now you're no longer in your chair. You're thinking about the actual adoption of what they're going to get at the end of the day and its usage as well by real people. That's the second part of the so what. And the last part of this entire conversation is the customer hired you for a job to be done. What else could you have done working in the same project? How could you have done it better? And what's a repeatability motion in this conversation that you could have generated for yourself so that when you go solve it for the next customer with a similar problem,
Right.
you are giving much more value rather than what you did with customer number one. So I think those are the some fundamentals of customer obsession that we immediately take about. Turning it to the internal lens, it means making something repeatable, platformized, software produced, and AI produced rather than people produced.
Right.
And second is what's the network amplification? So, what pieces of your network are you going to bring to the table to solve that problem, not just your technology?
Right.
Because they could be pieces of nuggets that your network has solved for, which might be amazing for this customer specific job to be done. And if you only are a frog in your own well and worrying about yourself, you're not delivering the right value. So internally, it translates back into those two conversations as well.
Right. So technology is one aspect, but it's the people that still hold more value when it comes to it. And since we talk about people, let's say normally I would ask this question to a startup founder, but since you are both, you have worked in the industry and then working on your own. So you believe in the idea, right? You have a vision related to something you're working on, but as you grow, you also have to hire people. What is your hiring philosophy? How do you make somebody realize what you are seeing? Because obviously they cannot see it from your lens. So what is the process that they go through when you're hiring them?
Um, I think it's different, Gaurav. When a company is in the 0 to 1 stage, The hiring philosophy is different from when it's in the 1 to 10 versus 10 to 100, right? So it depends on the maturity of where you are in your life cycle journey.
Right.
The hiring philosophies evolve. Um, but a few fundamental things do not change.
Right.
Um, the first thing that does not change is, are you hiring for smarter peoples than what you have currently? Second, what does not change is, do they have the aptitude
Right.
to run at a similar speed, velocity in this game as you?
Right.
Right? Not just the skills that they bring to the table, but the aptitude, the softer skills, so that they can fit it into the culture. They can thrive in the chaos of a startup that you're running with, and not just get lost to say, I was supposed to do a 9 to 5, 8 to 6 structured 8 hour, 9 hour, 10 hour job, whatever that was. That's not the case in today's jobs anymore. So, can they thrive in chaos? In fact, if they can excel in chaos, can they get creative and curious about finding their own problems and solutions? I've had um, the good fortitude of hiring a few people in our teams now as well as earlier who have come in and changed the way we work. Right. So we always look out for those capabilities specifically, not just the standard skills or things that are written in a job description or what you should be able to do. That's table stakes at this point of time. Can you have the right aptitude? Can you change the way? Can you thrive in a chaos? And can you run at the same speed velocity that we are running with today and even faster than that if needed?
Right, right. So I think one point that I would take away from with myself is the point when you mentioned that philosophy changes from 0 to 1 and then 1 to 10, and as obviously the organization grows. Now you mentioned one really important word, aptitude. When we talk about AI models, right? Whether we talk about Claude, we talk about Chat GPT, we talked about, let's say, Google Gemini, all these are built outside India. And there was a statement also, I don't know if you have heard this, which Sam Altman said that it's difficult for India to come up with a model like ChatGPT. Why do you think, what is there something lagging, or are we working on it, that we as a country have that business acumen or that technical skill or just that drive that we create something, which is adopted at the international level, at the global level?
Karam, it wouldn't be fair for me to give an answer to that. Not staying in India right now and not seeing it from a day to day perspective. I don't think it would be fair for me to comment on that conversation. I all I would say is India has an amazing set of talent to actually get this done.
Right, right. So, but okay. So let's say, what is your favorite model that you're still using? Any favorite you have?
Um, I think every model does the job for a different reason. Again, goes back to what are you trying to do with it. So I wouldn't say I use like one model only. I do work with multi models, but as of day to day, if you were to put me in a spot and ask me that question and look at my credit card subscriptions, it's 70% plot.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I agree to that point. Even I use Claude for most of the work, and then Gemini does something really better, which Claude cannot do.
Yes.
So it's a
Yes.
mix and match of both of them.
I actually have um, a multi LLM setup where some of my things are being debated between all of these LLMs, specifically on strategy, product, some of the other conversations which are high reasoning. I do use them against each other to give me the best answer, and I would keep on working with multiple of those till they converge on a common set of elements. I found that also to help me in my strategic decision making.
Right, right, sir. So now moving on to the other part of the conversation, a little away from work. So let's say when you're not working, right? And today is also a Saturday. So what would you normally do, like uh, apart from work?
Um, I actually have different things to do on different weekends. Push myself to learn new things.
Right.
So I would spend a few hours every weekend to do something different than what I am doing for that month, for that year, and so on and so forth. It could be something as simple as, hey, I do not know how to play a guitar. I'm going to go learn guitar.
Okay.
Um, hey, I did not know or I have not set up any of the co-worker stuffs, right? Latest one, like Andunegi released Open Worker. Hey, I have to go test it. I can't ask the team to check it out if I do not know how to do it, as an example.
Right.
So I could be doing that at that point of time. If nothing works, I could just be riding around on which makes me push myself to learn something new, either physically, mentally, or related to work.
Okay. Okay. That's really wonderful. uh, so throughout this whole conversation I am also seeing and that you are a very good speaker also, and obviously I'm on LinkedIn, I've seen that you are a writer also, you like to write also. So do you also spend time on these things? Obviously the communication skills can come with the business part of it, but do you spend extra time working on these things?
I do, Gaurav. I think storytelling is as much as an art as in science, and you can only make it better with practice.
Right.
Um, the more you open up your mind, the better you are to absorb moments, the better off you are to increase your skills in that area, right? Um, in fact, just last week, like I was reading this, The Power of Moments by Chip Heath, right, as an example. Um, Amazing book of how, what are the moments you capture?
Right.
How do you tell the stories about it? Why does it stick? Um, Over the last few years, what I'm realizing more and more is psychology should be a subject for everybody to read and learn.
Exactly.
Human psychology, I think it's as important as learning AI.
Right.
And storytelling is one frame of that entire psychology conversation. The second thing, what I'm also learning as part of that psychology is delivery methods. Um, as an example, if needed, I could slow down to talk with radio voice.
Okay. That's
This
interesting.
radio voice has a different effect on people when they are listening to you.
Right.
By the way, I just slowed down to make it a smooth, jazzy radio voice,
Okay.
right? That's also an art as an example, right?
Right.
Now, it needs practice for you to get to that radio voice, as in simple illustration. So the moment you are in, the voices that you could have, how can talk about things. I think all of this is a learning exercise. You cannot just make it up, or AI can't help you solve. It can help you learn it, but you have to practice.
So this is amazing. I think these inputs would also help me personally. So last two questions from my side. One is somebody who's starting his career now, seeing this AI change which is coming in AI or let's say in any field, how would you say that they should prepare themselves not only for their work part but as an overall personality, right? Where you have mix of all set of skills which are let's say needed in order to survive in life or excel in life.
Um, I would say the word is uncertain right now. Do not fear uncertainty. In fact, make uncertainty your friend, because the people who will survive and grow are the people who can deal with this chaos better. For you to deal with uncertainty and chaos, you need to believe in yourself have the confidence to learn new things, be curious, and most importantly, practice what you learn. You might be working for 10 hours in an office, but if you don't come back home and practice on the thing that's going to make you better the next day, the next month against the rest of your teammates or everybody else in the world, you will keep on falling behind this curve. AI has democratized learning.
Exactly.
And if you're not participating in that democracy, you are falling behind. So that's what I would suggest to young professionals.
Right. That's amazing, sir. And so my last question for the day. So looking at your life till now, let's say if a movie is to be made on your life, somebody comes. So what title would you give it and why?
Finding Ashu. Ashu is my nickname, so that's the short form, just like Finding Nemo.
Right.
Um, but this would be a series of episodes talking about how every few years I have found myself, but with a different perspective and a different lens to my life.
Right.
I think that's what I would probably do as a Netflix series.
So that's amazing. So thank you so much. I would say it was really amazing talking to you. I would say, how 30 or 35 minutes have passed. I did not even realize. And I had a certain set of questions in my mind that I had prepared, but I think the conversation was so insightful that I wanted to ask more from the answers that you were giving. So I would say thank you so much, for giving your time. I know it's a Saturday, you have a lot of things to do, but still you gave time, came here, gave the interview. It's an honor, obviously, to, talk to you. Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you, Gaurav. I really do appreciate you spending your late evenings working with me and wishing you all good luck for this podcast to be the best ever podcast globally at some point of time.
Thank you.
Uh, keep doing this, keep following your passion, Gaurav, and best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Have a good one. Bye.
Yeah.